The following is a sports narrative special presentation.
And the pick is finally in. It's currently being brandished by some walkie-talkied individual, taking it up to the commissioner's podium. A big, humongous pick.
Now, to find out whose name is on that card, here is the commissioner, ready to make history.
With the first pick.
Welcome to another episode of the Draft Narrative Show. I am your host, Jeff Bowers, rocking the Minnesota Vikings this week as we're going to talk about that team and so many others. As, yes, we're going to have a jam-packed and action-packed episode for you this week. The idea here is we've gone through the first wave of free agency. A lot of teams have made a lot of moves. It's affected the draft. So what we want to do is go team by team, boom, 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 tell you all the impact that the free agency has had on what your team may be looking at, mostly in the first round, but throughout the rest of the draft as they will be trying to fill holes. But I can't do that all by myself. So I have brought along the number one Jets fan of the state of Texas, Jarett. What's up, my man?
What's going on, Jeff?
Yeah, so rocking the Jets gear at the house there, and
well, I've got a great feeling, and you know what? I think I got something to say about free agency right here. I mean, looking at what the Jets have done, I'm gonna sit back and smoke my cigar and enjoy life right now.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, we're going to do this in the most unbiased way that we possibly can, as we're going to go, like I said, team by team, talk about big signings they've made, big holes that they've filled, and what's going to be left for them to draft, to take in the NFL draft. But first, we've got some breaking news, and for that, I throw it to the man there, Jarett. It is all you, my man.
So it looks like the 49ers are got into a little bit of trouble with their accounting. Because of payroll accounting errors. They're losing two picks. One in this draft, which is a fourth round, and a fifth round next year because of counting errors, payroll counting errors.
Wow, that's pretty wild. You know, the Niners have been getting a ton of extra picks here in the last few years because they have, they have benefited greatly from teams poaching from their front office and coaching staff and all of that. So, yeah, them getting docked a couple of picks for some payroll errors. I mean, look, at least it's not as bad as the Jacksonville Jaguars getting $22 million stolen. But, you know, I guess it's not that. So, and, you know, when you have who was the old 49ers owner? DeBartolo. Eddie DeBartolo, who got all kinds of federal trouble for accounting errors. So,
well, you know what's also interesting is if you look at what's going on, there's a couple of investigations about tampering right now too.
That's right. We've had the Kirk Cousins, and well, apparently it's James Franklin, the head coach of Penn State, who managed to out some people, and talking about Kirk Cousins having some early contact, and what was the other one?
It was also
Saquon.
on
Saquon.
Saquon, yep.
Yep.
The Eagles.
Yep. So, yeah, Saquon to the Eagles. So, yeah, we said James Franklin. Thanks a lot for that. I will say it does remind me one of my most favorite draft moments of all time was when the offensive tackle from Ole Miss that had the gas mask bong on. Laramie Tunsil. Yep.
Yes.
Larry
Tunsil, wasn't it?
Yep. So
Larry Tunsil.
Tunsil slid in the draft based on the fact that a video had come out from his dad, by the way, that he had put out a video literally as the draft is starting. Like, we're in our seats, we're getting ready to go on the air, and this video drops, and of him putting on a giant gas mask with a bong attached to the front of it. His draft stock plummeted. Nobody knew what to do. Finally, the Dolphins, because of course, draft him. he gets picked. He goes back into the media room. He's sitting up on the podium, and they're talking to him about his coach, Hugh Freeze, which was the head coach at Ole Miss at the time. And he says, yeah, Coach Freeze was great. He really took care of my family. He paid for my mom's house, blah, 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 which is a massive NCAA violation. And about that time, you see the Dolphins PR person, who this lady was sitting off stage. I mean, she did a 4.3440, sprinting to the front of the room in heels, going, and press conference is over. Thank you very much. All right, bye, everybody. Got him off stage, and Hugh Freeze got under investigation, got fired, has gone full circle now, and is back in the SEC. There you go.
You want to see my impressions of the Dallas Cowboys during free agency?
Yeah.
Look at my camera.
What? But wait, it's like you're not even there. Hey,
I think that's the way the Cowboys are doing it right now.
The Cowboys signed somebody today. They signed Rico Dowdle back. Super Bowl, baby. All right. Well,
isn't that the water boy they have?
I mean, kind of. All right. Well, let's get back to. We had a couple other news notes today. Let's see. Where did I see that stuff? As you mentioned, Josh Dobbs. Well, you mentioned that before you started the show. Josh Dobbs signing with the 49ers.
49ers, correct.
Chase Young signing with the New Orleans Saints on a fat deal.
Which is amazing contract.
Yeah, what was that, like 13 mil or something?
It wasn't a lot. Let me put it that way. For what he's done,
well, no, I mean, dude, Chase Young hasn't done a damn thing. Oh yeah, 1 year, $13 million. That's guaranteed, no less.
Yep.
Oh, I wouldn't touch that guy. I mean, you want to talk about somebody that takes plays off? Good Lord! But all right.
Well, let's talk about another contract I really want to talk about.
All right, what you got?
Well, it starts with a Cowboys player.
Yeah.
That's no longer with the Cowboys.
Okay.
Let's talk about Tyron Smith's contract.
Well, we're gonna get to that, buddy. Hold on.
No. We gotta talk. No.
Okay, go ahead.
Think about this. You got a guy that's been an All-Pro tackle his whole career.
Yep.
Gets $6.5 million guaranteed.
Yeah, a deal up to 20, but it's 6.5 guaranteed. I think the first big chunk of that hits at like 38% of games played this season. So, I mean, look, killer deal, and his market just wasn't there, which is what's wild. But, look, the dude hasn't played 17 games since 2017.
Right.
He obviously has a back problem. I mean, that you want to talk about a dude that has some miles. Now, he's only 32 years old. Remember, he's been in the league since he was 20. This is a 12-year player. Now, when he's out there, he is amazing. He is a top 5 tackle in the league, no doubt about it. But you got to get him out there. So I think that was the risk that the Jets were willing to take on their all-in season. I mean, great signing. I love it. Don't get me wrong.
Well, weren't the Cowboys all in? But I think they were all in at the buffet.
I think you may be right, sir. In fact, let's just put that.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dustin. That one was for you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, little Cowboys hate here as we're in the DFW Metroplex. But yeah, there's the signing, and I saw Tyron today on the old Insta. Let's see if I can. Oh, nope, it's gone away. All right, never mind. Okay, so let's change that.
Now we're gonna go to draft talk, right?
We are gonna go to draft talk. Let's get to rolling here.
Wardrobe change.
All right, there he is. Perfect. Okay, so let's talk about NFL free agency. We're gonna go team by team here and just basically run it down where we can. Let me see if I can do it this way, as I'm on the fly here trying to make things happen. All right, so we will start. We're just going to run it down alphabetically and get as far as we're going to get. So let us start with the Arizona Cardinals and their offseason. So basically what we're going to do here is when you walk into an offseason, you have a bunch of holes, right? You have players that are going to leave, players that are going to return. this type of thing, right? So what we want to do is just look at, okay, what holes have they filled with free agency thus far, therefore knowing better what they're going to be drafting more than likely. Now, not always. And ideally what you want to be able to do is walk into a draft and say, that that I'm completely ready to roll. I am, all of this type of stuff. I could take best player available because that's the ultimate goal. But that's pretty rare. Usually, especially the teams that are drafting higher up, are going to have a major hole and know that they can fill it because they know one of those players are available. That case in point here, the Arizona Cardinals. So the Cardinals walked into the offseason. They've got some decent receivers, but they needed an alpha. They need a wide receiver. They need several cornerbacks, defensive tackle, defensive end. They need some help at the guard spot. They need a linebacker, a backup quarterback, and running back. So, what have they done? Defensive tackle Justin Jones, check. Jonah Williams, right tackle, check. Now, the problem is that Jonah Williams at right tackle really only doesn't really fill a hole. What it did was it allowed them to jettison DJ Humphries and his money. So, and then move over Paris Johnson from right to left tackle. So that kind of sets him up there. Okay, so Sean Bunting signed away from Tennessee. I'd say that's cornerback 2, but you definitely could use another one. They signed Mac Wilson at linebacker, Bilal Nichols at defensive end. Let's see. They brought back DJ Dallas. They signed DJ Dallas away from Seattle. And then, that's about it. Elijah Wilkinson they brought back, but he's not really great. And they lost Marquise Brown to the Chiefs, and they lost Lakey Fotu up front at the defensive tackle spot. So, still quite a few holes there, I would say, with the Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, receiver being number 1, but what else do you have for them, Jarett, on as far as needs and where you think the Cardinals are going to be headed?
So the Cardinals still need, of course, they need another wide receiver because they're not going to do with what they have.
Yep.
But they've got a pretty decent pick.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I can see that being Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, for sure. So I think 100% Marvin Harrison is going to be the pick there early on. I mean, assuming he's there if he gets past the Patriots, but we'll talk about that later. They're going to take a receiver at 4. Now, what's great for Arizona is they also have pick 27. So they get another bite at the apple. And I think at that point, you're looking at, they've signed some people to the defensive line. They could really use like a really, whoop-ass kind of defensive end, edge rusher type. I think would be good for them, but cornerback 2, and then you look in that late first round. I think that's a really good place to try to find, whatever corner may be left, and some of these corners may slide down the board a little bit. So let's see, just looking at the depth chart there, definitely need some help at defensive end, and then edge rusher, they really could use help there too. So I think between those 2 spots is where you'll see the Cardinals really go. So,
they can also use a linebacker.
It is true. They signed Mac Wilson, but that's nothing to write home about necessarily. So, and then if Zaven Collins is playing the outside now. So, all right. Excellent. All right, the Atlanta Falcons, and you are up for that one, Jarett.
Okay, so what I've got is the Atlanta Falcons. Of course, they're being investigated for tampering. We already know that.
Yep.
But they still need an edge. They need one more quarterback, I could say, because they got rid of Desmond Ridder. They need a wide receiver, cornerback, defensive line, safety, and they can always use another tackle. Now, here's the thing. I look at them.
Now, what have they done this offseason?
That's what I was about to say. Okay. Give me a second.
Okay.
Let me talk. I'll get this taken care
of. Getting excited.
They've made a couple good signings, but they haven't made a ton. They've really signed Kirk Cousins,
which is
and Daryl and Mooney.
Right. Darnell Mooney
So
from
Darnell Mooney.
the Bears. Yeah.
Yep. And the rest of the people they've signed have just been filler spots.
Yeah.
They haven't signed any big other players, which I think they're looking at the draft to do a lot of that work for them. I think that's where they're looking at because of the fact that they've also signed Charlie Warner, Hodge, and Katarius Street. And that's really all they've signed.
Yeah, they're not really a whole
it.
lot there. I mean, Mac Hollins, that's just kind of a fill-in guy. They've lost quite a few players off that team, especially that defense. Obviously new coaching staff, all of that. But yeah, I have them down, as you said, a backup quarterback. I think definitely at this point because obviously Kirk Cousins coming off the injury. Man, what do they have behind? Oh, well, yeah, we didn't mention Desmond Ridder to the Cardinals. I totally forgot that. I forgot
I did.
about the trade.
I said they got rid of him.
Well, yeah, they got rid of him in Atlanta, but he went to Arizona. I've totally forgotten about that for Rondell Moore. So yeah, that's a nice little thing there. So yeah, they have Taylor Heineke as their backup. I guess that's really all you need, mostly. So but yeah, okay. So the Falcons have Rondell Moore, Darnell Mooney, and Drake London. And I mean, look, the line is okay. They could use some depth, but they're pretty good there. They're remaking that front. Yeah, so I think you're looking at edge rusher, and then cornerback are definitely positions that they need. And picking 8th, they have a chance to get either. They could go Dallas Turner there out of Alabama, or they could
Arnold,
or Terrion Arnold, or Quinion Mitchell. I think that's definitely a place where they go, or they could trade down. So yeah, I think the Falcons have done. Look, they solved the first problem, which is we needed a quarterback. We got a quarterback. So, all right, let's keep this ball rolling here as we roll through team by team. And yeah, we gotta remember the trades because that's important. And the next team up on the list, as we're going alphabetical order, is the Baltimore Ravens. And I have pop-up ads going everywhere, which is my favorite thing. All right. So, man, the Ravens have been absolutely decimated on the offensive line. Breaking news just now, Kevin Zeitler signing with the Detroit Lions just happened a few minutes ago.
Yep.
So Zeitler gone. The other guard, John Simpson, signs with the Jets. They trade away Morgan Moses, their starting right tackle for most of the season last year. And then keep in mind that, Ronnie Stanley hasn't exactly been reliable throughout this whole process. So, that's not the easiest thing in the world either. So, yeah, it's been pretty wild there. So, let's see. So the Falcons thus far in free agency, I'm sorry, Falcons. That's what I get for looking at the last team that I have on there. The Baltimore Ravens thus far, they lost Patrick Queen in the middle. I mean, kind of a loss. They signed Derrick Henry, great signing. And they brought back Malik Harrison. They signed Josh Johnson, the 38-year-old wonder, because they just lost Tyler Huntley. He goes to the Browns. As we mentioned, Zeitler signing. We don't have a number on that yet.
That hasn't popped up yet. I've been keeping an eye on it.
But, they lost Geno Stone in the secondary. I mean, they lost Devin Duvernay to Jacksonville along with Ronald Darby. But, yeah, a lot of losses for a team that, obviously thinks that they're close. I mean, you got to think that. And, they've just been kind of hamstrung by the salary cap. So they're going to need to do a lot of work. Baltimore is definitely a team I think could trade out of the first round, pick up a bunch more picks, and really do some work on day 2 with those picks. So besides the offensive line, they're still going to need some help at wide receiver. And they've been in some of the talks. They released Odell Beckham. They've been in talks some of these wide receivers, but nothing big because they just don't have the money to match. They lost Jadeveon Clowney. He's on a world tour right now with the Jets.
He's going to a team that we both know.
Yep, he's going to the Jets. He's visiting Carolina. A couple teams this week. Obviously, they could use some help at the linebacker spot, and at they brought back Justin Matabuke, and that's really, I think, the thing that hit them this year is franchising Matabuke has really, really hurt them because that money.
Just so you know, it just came through. Zeitler's just a 1-year contract with Detroit.
Nice. Well, all right then. So, the Ravens, lots of holes to fill. I think, look, the Ravens are a team that always drafts well, so it seems. So I am not exactly worried about a team like that. So, all right, what's the next team on our list there?
Oh, it's the Bills. Hold on. Let me take my Jet stuff off so I don't seem biased. Hold on. Let me get a different hat on.
I don't know how you're not going to seem biased, but I'm here for it. So,
well, I changed my hat. Now I'm wearing a Chiefs hat. We're good.
I don't know if that's better for Bills fans.
Okay, we'll change Jets hats. Hold
on. I was going to say,
I
don't know if that's better. They don't like the Chiefs very much either. All right, let's talk about those Buffalo Bills.
So here's the thing, and I'm going to start off with just a side note of what I've seen. And this is going to what I've seen in the offseason.
Yep.
So the one thing I've seen a lot about the Bills, they have lost a lot of their defense. They have cut people. They have lost people in free agency. They've still got a lot of people that haven't signed. That's one of the things I've really noticed with them.
Yeah, they've lost both safeties. Both Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. Poyer, of course, signed with the Dolphins. Micah Hyde's still on the street. When you have two 30-year-old safeties, of course you're going to lose one of them. So, go ahead.
Well, you also lost your cornerback, Tavarius White. He's gone.
Yeah, hearing the Raiders are sniffing around him. It looks like they may try to pick him up.
So, what I have for needs for the Bills, and if you're a Bills fan, don't hold this against me.
Right.
They need a wide receiver, interior offensive line,
yep,
and defense. I'm saying all in defense. Because right now, if you actually look, they say they need edge, defensive line, cornerback, safety.
Yeah, man. You're not wrong.
The only thing they have is linebacker.
Man, isn't that crazy? Okay, so here's what I'm looking at here. As I said, safety, you do have Taylor Rapp, but no, he's free too. My goodness. Okay, so I have wide receivers you mentioned.
They signed Curtis Samuel, which he's just a stopgap. I'm not saying he's the answer.
That's a good point. Samuel is a guy that I have never been a great big fan of. Let's see. Okay, so what have they? Okay, so they lost Gabe Davis. They signed Curtis Samuel. Cool.
Yep.
They lost Leonard Floyd. They brought back Daquan Jones and A.J. Epinesa. They lost their center, Mitch Morris, who went to Jacksonville. They lost Dane Jackson to the Panthers, as you mentioned. They lost Tre'Davious White, who, really couldn't stay healthy. They lost Jordan Phillips up front, Shaq Lawson, who was playing quality minutes for them, so they're going to need some edge rush help. They did bring in Mitch Trubisky, so, Oh, and they lost Trent Sherfield to Minnesota.
Oh, hold on. Isn't that another famous hold on, I think it's a Bears quarterback?
Yeah.
Wait, did another one just get traded? I think it was Justin Fields.
So yeah, it has been a rough offseason for the Bills. As we said, wide receiver, something to complement Stephon Diggs, but man, you keep hearing like Diggs took all the Bills stuff off of his social media. So interior offensive line help, obviously, especially at center now.
Tackles.
Safety,
tackles.
defensive tackles. They kept Daquan Jones, but they don't really have much beside him. I mean, you got Ed Oliver, of course. They still could use some help at edge rusher because Von Miller's not the same. Another running back, as you said, linebacker. My goodness. So the Bills got a lot of work to do. They're going to be working hard in Detroit trying to get that done. And again, another team late in the first round that could be looking to trade out. Okay. Let's keep this ball rolling here as we go to the Carolina Panthers. And let's see, man, another team.
Who are they? Who are they?
Yeah, another team that needs a lot. They have spent some money this offseason because they did have some money to spend. In fact, they spent $153 million on their two starting guards.
And the Jets have more than them right now.
Yeah, Robert Hunt getting 5 for $100. I will never in my life understand that contract. But and then Damian Lewis away from Seattle, who I mean is good, but he's not 4 years for $53 million good. So let's see. They signed Ashawn Robinson from the Giants up front. Josie Jewell away from Denver. I actually like that signing quite a bit. As we mentioned, Dane Jackson from Buffalo. And, yeah. And so, I mean, look, you got a new regime in there. They're going to be making wholesale changes. But the Panthers desperately need wide receivers. They've been in all these trade talks. I mean, basically they have the decrepit Adam Thielen, and that's it to throw to, so they need a lot of work there. They fixed the guard spot. They've addressed defensive tackle, though not fully. Let's see. Did they do anything at – do you see any tight ends? I don't see if they've signed any tight ends as of yet. That might be a position.
No, I haven't seen any.
Okay. That might be a position that they're looking at as well. Trying to get a little bit of a safety blanket. I mean, you got Tommy Tremble from a couple years ago, but that's nothing to write home about. The running backs, I mean, you could definitely use another runner. Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders are fine, and I guess the money you gave them. They did trade for Deontay Johnson. That's right, from Pittsburgh. So they've got Adam Thielen, Deontay Johnson, and Jonathan Mingo. Sure. And then defensively, you've tried to add some up.
Oh, you seem biased wearing the Vikings shirt right now.
Yeah. Ashawn Robinson and Derek Brown together. Man. They did sign Chason from Jacksonville, the edge rusher who's been a big bust most of his life. So, woof. That's rough. That is rough. I think they're going to need some.
Not as rough as the team I got.
Well, all right, fire away.
So I got the Chicago Bears.
Oh, my. Well, they.
And I can say, without even looking at anything, I know their biggest need. They don't have a single quarterback.
They do not have a single quarterback. Well, they're going to address that.
They did make some good offseason signings. They signed Dondre Swift and Byard from the safety.
Yeah, Keith Byard, yep.
But here's what they're saying the needs are for the Bears. And quarterback.
Obviously.
Wide receiver. Edge rusher. All of offensive line. Defensive line and tight end.
Wow. Offensive line's interesting. I don't think the Bears really need offensive line. Well, let me say it this way. I don't think the Bears think they need offensive line, and that's a very important caveat there. We might think that. I don't think they think that. So, what I think is going to happen there is I do like the signing of Gerald Everett away from the Chargers, although, man, the Bears love collecting tight ends. They got like 12 of them now. Because you still have Cole Kmet.
That's why I don't understand why some of these things are saying they need tight end. They've got tons of tight ends.
Yeah,
they just don't think. I don't think they have the caliber tight end that all these people are looking for.
And so, and again, this is one of the tricky things about when you start doing draft needs and some of these stuff is because and of course they got Keenan Allen. So all right, so let's take stock here. So the Bears have a decent, not great, but a decent offensive line, okay? They have wide receivers in DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, and they're hoping another weapon, whether it's something, but most likely if they get lucky, then one of the top wide receivers will fall to them at 9, and I think they will be happy with that. So,
right, but you're still going to have – I mean, the big thing is, I mean, we all know – I mean, we don't know, but we have a good feeling who the number 1 pick's going to be.
Yeah, 100%. Caleb Williams.
And the only person I know that's the number 1 pick, is a feeling I have, is the only man that wears a dress on the front of a magazine.
I mean, look, it's 2024, brother. You know, anybody can do anything they want these days. All right, so staying away from that landmine. Defensively, you brought back Jalen Johnson, which was big. I like what they've done in the secondary. They still need another corner. So cornerback is something they're going to address, and then another edge rusher. So I think for the Bears, it's a situation where you say, okay, we've got our first pick. We know it's Caleb Williams. With our second pick, if one of the receivers falls to us, awesome. If not, we'll take edge, and that could be Dallas Turner, Leatu Latu, Jarett Verse, or we could take cornerback there, and then later on, we could also take corner. We could also take another pass rusher. I think the Bears are pretty well set to address all of their needs. Now, of course, the question will be, how good is the talent there? How, can you keep Keenan Allen healthy? Is Caleb Williams going to be able to step in? Oh, by the way, they do have Tyson Bagent, the great Tyson Bagent. Oh, and they have Brett Rippon on the roster, so they do have quarterbacks.
Well, yeah, but here's the problem. I mean, they're going to draft a player. He's going to play. I mean, and it's a wild card. It is every year. I mean, look at the draft the last couple times where we've had quarterbacks drafted. A lot of the quarterbacks in some drafts go to the 2021 draft. There's only one quarterback that's still with the team.
Yep.
That they started with.
Well, technically two, because Zach is still around, but yeah.
Damn, you had to remind me.
Yeah, sorry about that, buddy. All right, so that's the Bears. Let's keep moving here. Let's go to the Cincinnati Bengals. All right. So with the Bengals, obviously biggest needs for them. They need help on the offensive line, especially at right tackle. They let Jonah Williams walk. I think they're going to be looking very hard at right tackle there. They could also be looking at defensive tackle. They need a little help in the guard spot. They signed Geno Stone away from the crosstown Baltimore Ravens. So I think that's a good signing. They signed Sheldon Rankins to beef up the defensive line a little bit. So they lose Chidobe Awuzie in the secondary. And let's see. They brought back Von Bell after he left for the big money. And they signed Zach Moss because they got rid of they traded Joe Mixon away to the Houston Texans. So
that's the team that's done a lot in free agency.
Yeah, so, I look at the Bengals and Von Bell, Geno Stone. I like it, right? I guess what you're probably going to do is take Dax Hill, which that experiment just didn't work out, and make him kind of your third corner. Cam Taylor-Britt's been great on the outside. You've got DJ Turner on the other side. You hope that he can kind of step into that role and stay healthy. Linebackers are good. You got B.J. Hill and Sheldon Rankins up front. I mean, it's not great. You'd like to be better up there. I think they'll be looking for some additions on the defensive tackle market. But really, it's that offensive line that needs help. You'd love to replace probably Cordell Volson or Alex Kappa, either one, at the guard spot. You need a tackle for sure right now. And then the big question is, what are you going to do with T. Higgins? Do you let him walk? Do you trade?
He requested a trade. So.
Yeah, so he wants out. I think they'll probably look at it. I mean, if they can get a haul, and then if they get a haul, then, more's the better. So really everything kind of is going to swim around T. Higgins. So, yeah, that's going to be very fascinating to watch for the Cincinnati Bengals. So we will keep an eye on them, making this one short and sweet. Who is next on our list?
It's got the Cleveland Browns.
Ah, yes, the Cleveland Super Browns.
I will say, at least they've added a quarterback. That's Jameis Winston.
Yeah, good old Jameis.
They did add a nice outside linebacker, Zarius Smith. Oh.
Where are my Cleveland Browns?
But they have a lot of needs. Wide receiver, defensive line, linebacker, running back, edge, offensive tackle, and cornerback.
I don't know where the Browns are. We'll have to pull them up there in a minute. All right. Yeah, the Browns have been busy. The Browns have had themselves a pretty decent little offseason.
But the thing is, if you notice, they haven't really addressed a lot of the positions. They've addressed a couple, and they've addressed them really well. But they haven't addressed every position they need. There's a lot of teams that haven't. But it seems like they're missing a lot of their needs that they haven't gone after yet. They've signed, I think I have it, they've signed right now 5 players: a quarterback, a tackle, an inside linebacker, an outside linebacker, and a defensive tackle.
Okay, so they've traded for Jerry Jeudy. So now you have Jeudy,
Yep.
Elijah Moore, and Amari Cooper. So set. On the offensive line, they're pretty much running back what they had, but man, that offensive line is rock solid. I mean, when healthy, it's great. So I don't think there's any questions there. You got Jameis to come in and Tyler Huntley. So they're loading up on backup quarterbacks. Makes you wonder what they're gonna do with Deshaun, but okay. Nick Chubb comes back. They signed Nyheim Hines today as like a third down back kind of guy. Defensively, they brought back Zadarius Smith. They signed Quentin Jefferson. I like both of those moves. They basically redid their entire linebacking core, getting Jordan Hicks. They still have Owusu Koromoa, and then they signed Devin Bush. Now, Jarrett, I was a big fan of Devin Bush and wanted him to come to our particular team. However, he went to Seattle and basically disappeared, went to witness protection. And
well, there's another player,
yeah,
that did the same thing. And this was the draft hat for him. And you probably know which one it is.
Yeah, that's old Jamal Adams' draft hat. Yep. So looking at the secondary, you need Emerson to step up. There was talk early in the offseason that they were looking to trade Greg Newsome because they needed some cap space. I guess they decided against it. So that's something to watch maybe down the line. But what I would say is, man, you look at the Browns offseason, that is a team with no holes. Now, it's also a team that doesn't pick until the 77th pick of the draft. So, they have to address everything in free agency, and I think they've done a pretty good job there.
Yeah, they haven't done bad, but there's still some things they need to address. I mean, we both know that, and I'll go back to this real quick. We both know they're probably going to be looking at quarterbacks in that later rounds.
I mean,
because they need a cornerback.
Yeah, you would think. All right. Well, that transitioned us to Jarett's favorite team, the Dallas Football Cowboys. This is going to be brief.
Hold on. There you go.
There's Jerry Jones in action right there. This is going to be brief because the Cowboys really haven't done anything. They re-signed Rico Dowdle. They re-signed their long snapper, and they cut Michael Gallup. Leighton Vander Esch retires today. Man, I hope for that guy's sake that he has a good quality of life. Like, that's my biggest concern there is that his quality of health and all of that jazz. Tony Pollard left for Tennessee. Tyron Smith leaves for the Jets. Neville Gallimore for the Dolphins.
Tyro Biadasz
to the
Commanders.
Armstrong both heading to Washington and following Dan Quinn. Man, so the Cowboys have big, giant question marks, especially on the offensive line. Where do you play Tyler Smith? And then where do you fill in the two holes that are left beyond that at center and either guard or tackle, right? Defensive tackle. They couldn't stop the run to save their lives last year. Now, Mike Zimmer's going to fix a lot of that with just the defensive scheme. They're going to need – they did get Eric Kendricks. They signed Eric Kendricks at
the
linebacker, which I think will really help bringing in a Zimmer guy who knows the system. They've got a couple of the younger guys like Overshone, who was hurt last year. I think they're going to be fine there. They brought back Jordan Lewis at nickel corner, so they're going to play Deron Bland and then get Diggs back on the other side. But man, that's a pretty slow cornerback group. That's my only concern there. I mean, you get a lot of interceptions.
Well, no, we'll go back to what I've been saying for years.
Yep,
they're all or nothing.
They
either get the interception or they give up a touchdown. I mean, there's no in between with those two guys.
Boy, that is 100% accurate, and I think they're going to be. I think that is a lot of what you're going to see out of the Cowboys this year. Is it's going to be, what they kind of were last year, which was we destroyed bad teams and they got beat by good teams. You lost Gallup. Your number 3 wide receiver right now, I suppose, is Jalen Tolbert, which I think is interesting. You still have Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb. Like I said, not much at running back right now. So that will be that I think will be the key. But look, I mean, it's a division-winning team. I mean, how much do they actually need? So I guess we will figure that out here. as we go along. So, all right.
Now here comes a team we have a lot to talk about.
All right, hit it.
It's the Denver Broncos.
Oh, yes. Oh, man, I just pulled up Detroit. That was
Okay.
my bad.
Let's see. They need a lot of things. They've got $59 million in dead cap space.
Oof.
They
look. The Broncos are tanking.
Hold on, let me finish.
Yeah. All right,
let me finish. They don't. I think they gave up a pick for their coach.
Yep. Second round pick.
And let's see. They traded off one of their receivers. There's another one possibly on the trade block.
Yep.
I think they're trying to come in dead last.
Exactly. I think they're trying to shank for Shedeur and getting themselves Shedeur Sanders, who conveniently plays in the state. Yeah, I mean that's the only thing you can figure that the Broncos are just hitting a full reset here.
I did forget about two signings though. I'm sorry.
Yep, hit it.
They signed Will Lutz. They signed Will Lutz, the kicker. And they signed Brandon Jones, the safety.
They signed a kicker for $4 million.
Yep.
I love it.
I'm sorry. No, you're wrong. 8.4, 4.2 a year.
Right. That's like 4.2 a year. Woof. And, they signed a fullback and a kicker. That pretty much sums
I've got
it up
use
right
speech on this one. Okay, so let's go to the next team.
Yep. All right, next team. That would be the Detroit Lions, right?
Oh, I know there's something else happening in Detroit this year.
Is there? What's that, Jarett?
Well, let's see. I just had some pizza from Jet's Pizza.
Yeah.
Which comes from Detroit.
Oh, that's what's happening there.
And wait. And that's what's going is the NFL draft.
Oh, the NFL draft. Yeah, that's right. Well, you know what? I think we're going to be there.
Is this the one you told me we're hitchhiking to?
Well, maybe. You're hitchhiking to. I'm flying, but yeah. Okay, so making a game time decision here, Jarett, as we're of course running long.
Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What's that? Oh yeah.
We're going Jets all the way today.
All right. All right, we are 10 teams in. So I tell you what, we're going to divide this up into 2 shows. We'll do the second half of the shows a little bit later in the week. Let's see if we can knock out these last 5 or 6 to at least get.
And you're the Detroit Lions, so go for it.
Oh yeah, I sure am. Well, let's look at those Detroit Super Lions. So this offseason, they've added Marcus Davenport, DJ Reader, which is a huge get for them on the defensive line. Make a trade for Carlton Davis, the cornerback from Tampa Bay. So now him plus Cam Sutton plus Amik Robinson, which is another signing that they made. I really like that depth now. They still need some help at safety. Probably could use a little help on the offensive line. And I don't know if Davenport is the guy who's going to really help you across from Aiden Hutchinson. You might still want to do some work there. Signing Kevin Zeitler is huge. They brought back Graham Glasgow on the other side. So the offensive line is still looking pretty good. And then now basically what you're looking at is you got to help at the wide receiver spot, right? You've got Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams.
Did you announce the breaking news guy?
Kevin Zeitler? Yes, sir. I sure did. So
I forget him.
I think if you're Lions, you're looking wide receivers. Luckily for them, the back half of the draft has a plethora of wide receivers to grab.
Receivers.
So, yeah, I think they're going to be – I think that's really going to help them there. Fill in that last spot, and they're a team that's done quite well this offseason and spent some money. Because Jonah Jackson came back he went to the Rams. They brought in Amik Robinson for $4.5 million per. Davenport came in at $6 million. So yeah, I like what the Lions have done. I think they have set themselves in a place where they should have a chance to contend. I think, like I said, with this Zeitler signing, now it's just honestly, it's just wide receivers is really just about wide receiver and maybe a little bit of help on the pass rush is really what you need there. So yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, next.
So I've got a fun one,
All right.
and I guess why this is so fun for me is because of the fact that we got their quarterback last year. So I've got the Green Bay Packers.
Oh yeah, some guy who's going to be vice president.
That's bogus, and
I know you
and
hate
you can
that
go there
story.
as much as you want, but
That's
we're
why
still going to call the offensive line the Secret Service.
you're dang right we are.
So they have had some really good signings this offseason.
Okay.
I mean, Josh Jacobs,
Yeah.
and they
Huge.
brought back AJ Dillon, Xavier McKinley. I mean, come on.
Yeah, love
You're
the
talking
signing, man.
some big
Boy, did
pieces.
they overpay. Now I love me some Xavier McKinney, the safety from the Giants, but man, did they overpay for that. But hey, cool.
But they still need some positions. They still need some offensive tackles because they lost David Bakhtiari. They're going to need a safety because they lost their safety this year. Cornerback, running back's been taken care of. Edge and defensive line, I think they could still use a little help on. I think in the draft they're probably going to be looking at that defensive line for their in the first round, so that they.
Here's what's funny, and I was listening to the draft dudes today talk about this. When you get past, okay, so in the top, let's say 12 picks, we're thinking there's going to be 2, maybe 3 offensive linemen off the board, right? Joe Alt will go to the Tennessee Titans. You can put that in pen. And then the Jets could take Fuago or somebody at 10. There's an outside chance the Bears could. There's an outside chance the Broncos could, right? 1 or 2 at the most in that top grouping. Maybe the Chargers take one. But from picks 13, which is the Raiders, who need a right tackle, to pick 25, which is the Green Bay Packers. In those 12 picks, we might have 6, 7 offensive linemen go in that group. I mean, that is a group that every team in there, you can make an honest case for an offensive lineman going. And so
I think it's funny. I said defensive line, and you went offensive line.
Well, right. That's what I was saying. Like, I think you're right on defensive line, but I think as defensive tackle is definitely a need for them. But man, I think that is you're going to see a run of offensive tackles that those teams at the back, Green Bay, Dallas, some of those teams down there that are going to get nervous and might want to start moving their way forward. I think that grouping right there is going to be one of the most volatile sections in the first round of the draft as those tackles, as that run starts and tackles and guards and centers start going. Man, it could get really hairy in there very quickly. So that's going to be fun.
Well, one thing we talked about, and this is something me and you've talked about on a side note. I'm going over here to talk on the side note.
Yep.
Is that we always say the Cowboys are the easiest team to know what they're going to pick.
Yep.
And we all think it's Tyler Guyton.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's 100%. Now, does Guyton get there? And if we know it, then everybody else knows it too. So,
yes.
Yeah, I think that's going to be interesting. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, we've done 12 teams. We've pretty much
we got to do one more because this one's going to take the longest.
Oh gosh. Well, let's save it. No, that's Houston. We're going to save it. Let's save it. We're going to save it for the next show. So, let us reconnoiter and come back around.
Hat change.
And hat change for the final there. Perfect. Love it. So, yes, let's we pretty much hit our limit. We got through 12 teams. We will get to all of your teams as soon as we can here on the Sports Narrative Show this week for the Draft Narrative as we talk about the impact of free agency, and we'll have more trades and more things to talk about as we get through this process and we get you ready for the NFL Draft in Detroit. So, for the great Jarett Alardi, I am Jeff Bowers saying let's talk some draft here very soon as we will come back here on the Sports Narrative Show.